Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Today, we're diving into a hot topic. Is the GSA trying to apply price controls to the reseller market?
That's a question that's been buzzing lately. The GSA's moves have definitely caught the attention of both resellers and federal buyers.
Right. The federal market relies heavily on resellers to provide flexibility and competitive pricing, so any shift in policy could have ripple effects.
Exactly. From what I've seen, the GSA isn't explicitly calling these changes price controls, but the new rules seem to give them more oversight on pricing.
Do you think this could lead to less competition among resellers?
It's possible. When you limit how much resellers can charge, you risk discouraging some from participating, especially smaller players.
But isn't the goal to protect agencies from overpaying for products and services?
That's the idea. Agencies want transparency and value for taxpayer dollars. Price consistency helps with budgeting and accountability.
Some resellers argue that these controls could stifle innovation. If margins get too thin, it's harder to offer unique solutions or better service.
True. And the reseller market thrives on customization. Price floors or ceilings could make it less attractive to tailor offerings.
On the other hand, uncontrolled pricing can lead to wild variations. I guess it's a balancing act.
Absolutely. The government wants stable pricing, but too much control can create a one-size-fits-all situation, which rarely works in practice.
Have you heard any positive reactions from the reseller community?
A few. Some think clearer pricing guidelines could level the playing field and reduce undercutting, but most are wary of unintended consequences.
There's always that worry. Will these changes actually benefit the end users or just add bureaucracy?
That's the million-dollar question. If agencies get better pricing but lose flexibility, is it worth it?
Maybe a good analogy is like regulating ticket prices for a concert. You avoid scalpers, but you might also discourage creative promotions.
Exactly. And in the reseller world, those promotions can mean big savings or bundled services.
So, do you see any way for GSA to encourage fairness without smothering market dynamics?
They could focus on transparency rather than rigid controls. Publishing benchmarks or encouraging open negotiations might help.
That would allow resellers to compete on value instead of just price, which could benefit everyone.
Plus, it would give agencies a clearer idea of what they're paying for without handcuffing suppliers.
What about the impact on technology procurement? Is this going to slow down innovation in government IT?
If price controls become too strict, yes. Resellers might avoid offering cutting-edge solutions if profits are squeezed.
That would be a setback, especially when agencies are trying to modernize and keep up with commercial standards.
On the flip side, predictable prices could make budgeting easier for long-term projects. It's a trade-off.
Do you think the GSA is open to feedback, or is this a done deal?
Historically, GSA does listen to stakeholders, but policy changes can be slow to adapt once they're set in motion.
Maybe resellers need a stronger collective voice to highlight real-world consequences.
Agreed. And if enough agencies push back, GSA might be forced to revisit their approach.
Ultimately, it feels like the key is flexibility. The market thrives when both sides can negotiate and adapt.
Definitely. Blanket policies rarely capture the complexity of federal procurement.
If you were advising the GSA, what would you suggest?
Focus on transparency and collaboration. Create forums for feedback before finalizing any major changes.
That sounds reasonable. After all, the goal is to serve public interests, not create headaches for everyone involved.
And keeping the lines of communication open is crucial. The reseller market is diverse, and one-size-fits-all policies rarely succeed.
Maybe we'll see a pilot program or phased rollout to test the impact before going all in.
That would be smart. It's better to adjust based on real-world data than to commit to sweeping changes.
Well, it's definitely a story to watch. The interplay between price controls and market health is always fascinating.
I agree. If the GSA finds the sweet spot, it could set a positive precedent for future procurement policies.
Or it could spark even more debate. Either way, it's a reminder of how policy shapes the way the government does business.
And how those decisions trickle down to taxpayers, tech providers, and agencies alike.
So, for listeners in the reseller market, stay tuned and stay vocal. Your input could help shape the future.
Absolutely. And for everyone else, keep an eye on how these policies evolve. It's a window into government innovation and accountability.
Thanks for joining us. We hope today's discussion gave you some food for thought.
And maybe a few laughs. Until next time, keep questioning and keep listening.
See you soon.
A special thank you to MarketUS.com for furnishing us this information.
Here's a question. How do we contact them?
Good question. You can reach them at MarketUS.com or call them at 954-636-3232.
Before we go, this deep dive was created by the MarketUS.com team.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Good point. It's right below the subscribe link.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor and sharing your product or service with the world, reach out to MarketUS.com. You can schedule a session to discover how we can work together. See you soon.